doing the door-to-door sales, being that service really is what I leaned into. That was extremely important, is that service and the customer care, and really treating those people like they're a relative of your own. How would you treat your parents if you had to go help them? Be true to yourself. Getting stuff done and sitting there saying that you're working and playing on your phone or scrolling through Facebook or everything yourself can really get you sidetracked. A lot of businesses were booming and you didn't have to work for these, and it was kind of like you showed up, or if you even answered the phone sometimes, then you got the work.
If a lead does come in and they don't need any like custom artwork or anything, we can have a mock-up quote and approval sent over within the first hour if everything lines up properly.
With insurance work, there's a lot of ins and out of the insurance work or scope, and you want to make sure that if you don't understand it, because it is very complicated, that you ask those questions to make sure that they're truly taken care of.
All right, welcome to the American Dream Podcast. This is episode 5. We're going to be talking about some sales, leads, and just start to finish on that whole process.
Yeah, so thanks everyone for tuning in today. We had a great week last week with our guest, Corey Klein. He talked about some of this stuff a little bit, about leads, about how his growth developed over the years, and just that customer experience that we've also talked about and how important that is. So we felt it was fitting to kind of dive into the sales side here a little bit and take a deep dive into the warm leads and cold leads and how to get all those nurtured through and make them turn into sales.
So just kind of starting off, every sale is going to have a lead of some sort. Whether you think it's a lead or not, it's a lead of some sort. So let's just kind of break down to get things started the two different types of leads. So it's going to be a warm lead and a cold lead. All right, with sales, every sale has a lead of some sort, whether you know it or not. Just because someone's coming that's a friend of yours and they walk in the door and they want to buy something, that's still considered a warm lead, which is, probably the majority of what people kind of rely on for their business to grow is word of mouth. That's obviously huge. We talked about that in the past episode with relationship building, and that has a lot to do with like that warm lead side of things. Getting good referrals, spreading the good word, and getting those people in the door. And then the other side of things is the cold lead, the cold outreach, cold leads, which is a daunting task for many. And definitely I'm definitely on that train of trying to figure that out.
And I think that cold outreach, just to touch on, so I had some experience back doing more door-to-door sales. So, going literally door-to-door, knocking on doors, or maybe it was someone that was I'd still consider a cold lead where, my neighbor may have hail damage. I did it for storm restoration, so we went door-to-door, looking for that, looking for roof inspections, just to have the chance or opportunity to get on someone's roof. So we'd go in a neighborhood, maybe you had gotten into this neighborhood from a warm lead, and then from there you try to build off of that. And so, whether that was a referral, they were all pretty light. And like you said, it's a pretty daunting task to do that if you've never done it. Walking up to a complete stranger's door and asking to do roof inspections, you can kind of get yourself into some uncomfortable conversations. Nothing bad. I never had any bad experiences with it, but there was a lot of that. And I think that's a kind of your true cold lead.
They had no idea who you were and what you had to offer, and you got to, in the matter of a few seconds, get that first image off on the right foot. Because if you kind of step your way through that first interaction and they kind of have a bad look on you right away, then that's going to be a tough one to recover from.
Yep. And it's really being, relatable in those situations, which goes really for both sides, but really being approachable and relatable in those situations, makes it easier to carry on that conversation more than, can I get on your roof to inspect it? You might have hail damage or those kind of awkward things where it's kind of you kind of have a pitch, then that's it. And you don't really go anywhere from there.
Have you noticed once you kind of, on the door-to-door side, once you kind of get in with one, is it easier to get in with more? You can kind of say, hey, I'm working with Susie down the street, and, just kind of start building that relationship with the community because they're going to relate to that neighbor.
Yep. That was definitely the key to doing that, is building that trust. A lot of people that we went to, they may not have known who we were as a business or company. We, wasn't a local business like, kind of both of us are used to here, where someone's, either knows us or has heard of the business. So building that trust with those people, and then continuing to leverage that to get, more people, to answer the door or yet they'd sometimes even come with you, and it made for a lot better experience and definitely helped sales, close rates, etc.
So in your door to door sales life here, what do you think was like the biggest thing that helped you maybe stand above and stand out from the rest of the people out there? Because when those storms come through, I mean, it's pretty nasty out there. I've just here when we had some hail coming through, it seemed like we had 15 different people stop by. So
Yep, I would say from doing the door to door sales, being that service really is what I leaned into. I grew up that was extremely important, is that service and the customer care, and really treating those people like they're a relative of your own. How would you treat, your parents if you had to go help them? How would you treat someone that you truly cared about? A lot of the industries, and this really goes for any industry at this point in time, as far as I'm concerned. I'm sure you've had, when you're buying different equipment or vehicles or whatever. I've had some pretty terrible experiences, and not necessarily terrible in the sense that they delivered a bad truck. It was just they didn't.
the customer service
Customer
aspect.
service, it just wasn't there.
Yep.
COVID really did a lot of that. I feel, to people where a lot of businesses were booming and you didn't have to work for these, and it was kind of like you showed up, or if you even answered the phone sometimes, then you got the work. And that was the big thing that I really leaned in on, and people definitely appreciate it, especially when you're working on their homes, working on their roof. They need to trust you that you're going to do good work, and to come back if there's any issues on that. So
With the day and age that we're in, we're kind of in like the gold rush of roofing, you could say. Is there's a lot of people just kind of starting up and going out there and just trying to figure out as they go. Is there something that we can maybe tell the homeowners to maybe look out for, or maybe what to look for when you're dealing with like the right qualified roofing company and whatnot, whether it's you or somebody else, just kind of adding some value to what to look for?
yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's very important, especially like you said, it's kind of the gold rush in roofing, the insurance and etc. There's a ton of door knockers. If you're from the area, you probably had one. In the Zumwalt Falls area, you probably had one here this last fall. I'd say the biggest thing now is really looking at the business that's coming to your door and doing your homework on them. And ask questions, that they have. When's the last roof, or who else have you put a roof on for in the area? How many years you've been doing it, and really just doing your own homework and asking those types of questions to people, because what's happening is there's a lot of people that are coming from long ways away. We have people from the cities, you got people, up from
Yep.
all extents of the earth. And what happens, in business, there's always problems, right? And so what happens when, maybe there's a leak, or something else happens, and you can't get a hold of somebody? That's a
There.
pretty big problem.
Yeah.
You're talking, $20,000, $30,000 roof. You can't get a hold of someone. You want to make sure that they can get, to you to make that repair. Also, with insurance work, there's a lot of ins and out of the insurance work or scope, and you want to make sure that if you don't understand it, because it is very complicated, that you ask those questions to make sure that they're truly taken care of. Sometimes there's places where you can get taken advantage, whether that's some scope work that was in the paperwork that maybe they didn't complete, but they're
Yep.
going to bill you through because they know that insurance will pay for it, and those types of things, just to make sure that you're making everyone whole from an insurance side. They want to make sure that those things are getting completed on your house and replaced. So that's a huge piece to that.
Yeah, those are some good takeaways to just keep your eyes out and be aware as a homeowner, because there's some vultures out there, and
Yep.
you just got to look out for yourself. At the end of the day, it's your roof and your house, and
And there's a lot of good contractors. It's not all bad, right?
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
Obviously, we're local. There's other ones that are definitely good ones out there. And it'll continue to be, and you'll start to see that differentiating here in the coming years with insurance changing the way that it is. You'll start to see who's still around and who's still busy.
you're going to start to see the customer coming first, how it used to be, instead of the companies putting themselves first, which is good to see the turn of the age. And
Yep.
the insurance companies are kind of tightening things up and making it a little bit harder on some of those guys.
Yep.
So that's just the way she goes.
Yep.
Yeah, kind of getting back on track here with the sales and outbound and whatnot. So that was kind of the first step. It's free. That's the nice thing about door to door. It's not going to cost you anything other than your time. So if you're just starting out and you're looking for ways to go out there and make things happen, and maybe you're not getting the sales that you wanted coming in the door from the warm lead side of things, the only person holding you back is yourself, because you can get in that truck and just start driving around, calling people, door knocking.
And I think that's just something I guess that I'll reflect on for us. There should always be a portion of that cold outreach that you're trying to do, and same with screen printing. There's a level in which you always should be doing. That's how you're going to reach new customers. You're going to continue to grow your brand awareness in the area on those things. And so, whether that's just stopping in to talk with insurance agent, or maybe you're going around going to a different business that you see. You've been doing a lot of trades business, and you stop into some of those places just to let people know who you are. You don't have to be pushy with it or demand a sale at that given time. But what are some of the things, I guess, for cold outreach that you do in the screen printing? It might look a little different than going door to door asking people if they want a screen printed shirt or a hat.
Yeah, we don't do a ton of door to door. We definitely focus more on that cold email outreach and stuff, and we're definitely still learning that side of things. I've definitely learned right off the bat that volume is the way to go with that. Cold email isn't dead by any means. I mean, everybody gets it, but they're still converting. So the more you can get out there, the better. And the biggest thing I've learned with that is, you're not trying to make that hard sale right away. You're just trying to add value to their situation, whether they go with you or not. Just adding that value that builds trust with you and them, and that goes a long ways. So,
Sure.
If you just send out like, buy this for this price, and I'll give you a good deal, and we'll get you taken care of. They're getting that stuff all day long, so that you're just going to be drowned out. So,
Sure.
kind of setting yourself apart from the rest of the crowd is, and that kind of ties back to what we're doing with social media recently is, that's its own form of warm/cold email. You're putting yourself out there in front of people that didn't know who you were, but you're kind of nurturing them in a way of showing them value with the social media posts and talking about the ins and outs of the industry and maybe things they should look out for, even if they're working with someone else.
Yep, adding value, like you said before. And I think that's a big piece where everything is kind of shifting out of COVID and everything else, is that service and nurturing those leads in a more customer centric way, if that's even a word, but more really getting that customer involved and on that. So we've talked a little bit about the cold outreach. Well, I guess taking it the next step, a lead comes in. What are some of the things that you guys do to continue that pathway for the customer?
So my biggest thing is the response time, especially on like a cold lead that's pretty interested, is getting down to almost a couple minutes of responding. It, whether or not you send them like everything they need right away, but at least knowing that you heard their message and are going to be working on that, getting back to them. So number one, as fast as you can respond as possible, because when they're sending that submission into your website, their mind's focused and ready to work on that right then and there, even if it's 10 minutes or an hour later or the next day or whatever it is. Maybe they've already kind of pushed that on the back of their priority list, and you could potentially miss out on that sale. So quick response time, and then just good communication through the whole process. And then answer your phone, answer those emails. Like, there's so many times I see businesses where they're not getting the leads that they want, and it's simply just coming down to the fact that they're just not picking up the phone and taking care of those leads that are coming in. So
Yep, and I think that even answering the phone, people may be busy or whatever, but you need to have a process to answer that phone and to nurture that lead. Because again, if that customer, if they're reaching out to you for the first time and you don't answer your phone or even get back to them in a reason, if you're in a situation where you don't get back to them, and
you already lost them,
whatever, you've lost them, and then they're not going to tell anybody else, or if they do tell anyone else, it's probably not going to be positive, and so now you don't even know what you lost out on at that point in time. I think that's a huge takeaway for that initial interaction that they have with you. So
definitely, and just being as smooth as possible through the whole process. That's why we've set up a lot of automations on the back end. So if a lead does come in and they don't need any like custom artwork or anything, we can have a mock-up quote and approval sent over within the first hour if everything lines up properly.
Sure.
Which has worked in the past, where that was kind of the determining factor of going with us, because we got to them before even other shops were able to respond, and we already had a finalized quote and mock-ups, everything sent over to them.
Yeah, no, that's definitely huge. Definitely huge, especially when it's fresh in their mind and they're that's what they want to, me, I can tell you, when I'm doing construction, that's kind of the last thing I'm thinking about is,
Yep.
shirts or hats or you got to get ready for this trade show or whatever. Like,
Yep.
I just want it done and out of my mind. And so
You're busy and you don't want to have to think about it all day long. And
yep, exactly. So no, I think that's definitely important. Is there times that you feel that you spend time on a prospect that you kind of get a feeling that you shouldn't be, or maybe there's a kind of a sign that's like you don't really know what's going to turn into, but it's that business in you that you want to nurture that lead, and how do you kind of differentiate the two?
yeah, that's definitely something I've been working on this last year, especially when you're trying to grow. As time is very expensive and you're never going to get it back. So making sure those leads are qualified, just asking simple questions of how many are you going to be ordering. If they can't even tell you a straight answer from the beginning, then they're probably not going to be kind of hitting those minimums. So setting up minimums, whether it's a dollar amount or a quantity price point. So like for your instance with roofing and windows and siding, we were just talking about that the other day, is like you kind of have to have a minimum for your truck to even show up on the job site, just to be able to pay the guys insurance, the whole 9 yards. But so just qualifying those leads to make sure putting your time and effort into that is the right move. So just kind of building a standard with certain questions to ask, and just make sure you guys are on the right page, and don't be afraid to kind of forward some of those non-qualified leads to somebody that is maybe more qualified for that type of work. So we get a lot of like, especially when we're doing kind of like Google search, paid ads and stuff, we get a lot of like one-off stuff that's coming in, and our business model isn't set up to just handle one-off shirts with artwork and everything. So we have a couple partners that we send stuff to, and that kind of looks good on our part in a way. Like, yeah, we're not getting their business today, but they know that we had them in their best interest to send them off to a good company. We know they're going to have a good experience over there, better than what we could give them for that type of work. And then hopefully in return, when they do kind of hit our criteria, then maybe they'll be coming back around. So
Yep, and I think that's just important. All in all, is really staying what you're specialized in and doing the work. Someone called us and we're fixing their roof, and they said that they needed some plumbing repairs or even sheetrock or anything on the inside. That's just not what we do. I mean,
yeah,
could we figure it out and everything? Of course we could, but
yep,
there's a point in which going back to the time that you have to stay specialized in something and try to be the absolute best at it in your industry to stand out. If you try to do everything, it just gets so watered down to make any headway.
yep, definitely. And there's a time and a place for like that vertical integration. If it's within your kind of niche of what you're doing, it's definitely good to kind of expand on certain services and dial those in. But yeah, when you're doing roofs and plumbing comes along, those make no sense to be doing hand in hand. So
yeah, no, definitely is tough, and creating those partners that you can, move those to. We continue to do that. Try to find people that are follow the same
values,
values.
and yeah,
Exactly, yeah, the values that we have, so that you don't want to give bad recommendations either, and so you want that customer experience to extend out, to who you're referring. And so
yep,
it's been a huge thing for us, because then again, the business comes back
yep,
in a different way, shape, or form, and everyone is for the better. The customer's happier,
yep,
the other business is happier. They're getting business and feeding you back, and it just kind of continues to grow and build as
yep.
time goes on.
You build that inner circle, and you guys just grow together, and yeah, that's one of the best ways definitely to grow.
Yep, no,
So
absolutely.
so we kind of talked about getting a lead in and doing the right things, and them responding, and you're moving the process along. What happens if a lead comes in and they don't really respond right away? What do you do from there?
So typically, when a lead comes in, we have either myself or another salesman will reach out to them right away to set up a time to meet to go through their project. I'm big in person. We got to have the phone conversation, and then reach out to them. If they don't answer their phone right away, we always leave a message, and then we'll follow up with an email after that, just to make sure that we're hitting them from all aspects. Maybe they're in a meeting, or they're at work where they can't answer the call. So that's what we'll do for sure. After one day, then we'll reach out again via phone, and then after that we continue. If we still have zero response, whether that's text, email, whatever it is, then we kind of set up a recurring automations to hit them, maybe at that 7-day mark, and then at the 14-day mark, and then obviously as time goes on, that time extends out. but we want to make sure that we're at least fulfilling their end. If they fill out a form online and they're looking for a roof replacement or rejuvenation, we want to make sure that we're doing our part. That communication was not any part of the reason that they didn't go with us or they didn't get the help that they needed. So
That's a big takeaway, is making sure just because they didn't go through with you right away or answer any of those messages doesn't mean they're not interested. Maybe they got busy and they didn't want to take on that project that they thought they did, even though it was just a few minutes ago. Like,
yep.
I've done that before. I'll put a submission in and I'm like, yeah, actually, I don't really want to do that right now. And then I don't answer the people that keep calling me. But just making sure you don't fall off and on those like follow-ups and adding them into some sort of email campaign. And it'll just constantly be in kind of putting yourself in front of them. They already went out of their way to talk to you one time. So whether it's at the end of the year or even 10 years down the road, if they're just in that contact pool where you're just, monthly or weekly, however you do it, you're just sending them little reminders of what you're doing within the business, whether it's adding new team members or new service or just, saying happy holidays and stuff like that. So,
yep. And that's an important thing that goes back to kind of like we talked about in the CRM. So we have all that in a database, right? So that person that puts in a lead to fill out a form or anything, they're going to have their basic contact information. And now you have that lead forever. So like you said, if we offer a new service, maybe that's something that's more up their alley that might interest them. And so that really building that book of business is so important, even if they don't get back to you right away.
Yeah, that's the definition of nurturing those leads.
Yep.
You're not actively going out there and calling them for every single day for a year, but you're just not letting them go forever. You're just constantly kind of in the back of their mind, poking them a little bit here and there.
Yep, there was some sales training too that I think it's easy to get discouraged after they don't answer the call the first time, and even the second time or even the third time. And there was a sales training that I was doing here this fall, and I can't remember the numbers, but it was pretty crazy to see the numbers of what the sales conversion rate was on that 10 to 15th touch, and that was really eye opening for me because I didn't even realize how much or how much nurturing really some of these leads make. Most people aren't going to make that decision on their first or second time
Yep.
that you're reaching out to them. So
yeah, definitely.
So we talked about a little bit more on the cold outreach side, and the warm leads. When a lead comes in, how do you make yourself stand out from the rest, or how do you build that trust with someone that may never has worked with you before?
One of my kind of favorite and more like successful strategies is showing examples of people that you've worked with that are in a similar niche as them. So one, for example, that just developed in the fall here is Elcor Construction coming on board with us, and we had worked with Beneke and a few other big construction companies in the area. And in our conversation, he was kind of just talking about why should he go with us and whatnot, and just kind of name dropping some of those other relatable companies that we've worked with. Kind of builds that trust, because if we're good enough to work with them, and then immediately I could tell his whole tone changed, and he's like, oh, if you're good enough to work with them, then you're good enough to work with us. So yeah, I think that was a big factor on like kind of closing that deal, and that was one of our bigger ones for the year. So definitely sticking with that and just trying to build that relatability right away, and showing those testimonials is definitely a big help.
Yeah. So how do you talk about testimonials, reviews, building that? What are some things that you've found has worked to do it? Because obviously, reaching out and getting those leads, a lot of people or reviews. Not a lot of people will feel that they want to reach out and get that review. What are some things that you do to make sure you get those?
We're just kind of starting a new thing here, actually. So I like to provide as much value as possible in return for something. So gonna go out and just like film some content clips for a previous customer, and in exchange for doing like a testimonial.
Sure.
They have no like necessarily reason to do a full video testimonial unless they're just they don't necessarily have like an incentive to do a whole video testimonial, unless they just really love the service that much. So adding a little bit of value in there, whether you're giving them a gift card to kind of take them out to dinner or show them a little extra value. Not that you're like trying to buy their by their good review or anything, but just show that their time is worth something at the end of the day, and you're going to give them something and you're going to get something. That goes a long ways in business in general. Like,
Yep.
Nothing's free in this world, so if you can add value along the way, then you're going to get a lot farther with everything you do. So
Yeah, no, that's definitely important. Looking for those testimonials, and like I said, going back to when you get into some of those bigger accounts, there has to be a little bit of credibility there, from a business. They're not going to just sign up with someone and work with whoever on those. So that asking for those reviews, being vulnerable enough to just ask,
yeah,
is really half the problem. Most of those people, I said, you can do some gift cards or give something back, but truly a lot of those people are just willing to do a very simple, whether it be testimonial, Google review. They want to show, that their experience with you was really great.
yeah,
That's a feel good moment to give back a little bit, and I think that's just really an important thing to do, especially as a business owner, or if you're, especially whether you're small, big, all sizes. It really is a huge piece. So
it goes a long ways. Yeah, but yeah, one of the big benefits of getting those testimonials and those reviews and everything is it's a lot easier for a potential customer that's coming in to kind of be sold on you when they're hearing from somebody that already had a service done through you versus you telling them, because obviously you're going to tell them the best answer possible, but
Yep.
when you're getting true feedback from customers and just building that rapport of all those good experiences that those people had, it definitely goes a long ways.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, having that, even though we touched on a little bit of social media, having those constant testimonials and reminders for people just to know, subconsciously it's building that rapport and that brand with them, and even seeing that again and again and that great experience. You want to make people feel a little bit left out, that they haven't had that experience yet
Yep,
with you. And that can really bring in more leads and referrals and kind of continue to snowball as time goes on.
definitely. So we're gonna kind of do a challenge this week. It's gonna be an action based challenge. So I challenge everybody that's listening to do. The goal is to get up to 100 new actions a day, whether that's some sort of cold email, cold calling, door to door, emailing, or DMing on Instagram, LinkedIn, etc. But just start out with 25 new actions a day. I guarantee you, if you get up to 100 actions a day, you're gonna have so much work you won't even know what to do with. So just staying disciplined, getting out of your comfort zone, and just getting yourself in front of those people.
Yeah, no, definitely be vulnerable when it comes to those things, and making sure that you are, be true to yourself. Getting stuff done and sitting there saying that you're working and, playing on your phone or scrolling through Facebook or everything yourself can really get you sidetracked. And also kind of build on that, one of our first episodes, we talked about goal setting. We set up for, it's right around the new year. People are setting all their, goals for the year. So January 10th it's actual national holiday, National Quitters Day, and that really strikes a little bit because I'm definitely guilty of it. You get the new year, you're gonna start working out, you're gonna lose weight, you're gonna, you know,
Get new sales and
get into
etc.
sales. You're
Whatever.
gonna, I'm gonna go, reach out to people every single day or do these 25 tasks every single day. And you'd be surprised how fast people fall off of that. And I think it's just a good reminder that we want to share with everybody, to make sure that you're holding true to yourself and you revisit those. I hope that you wrote them all down and you can revisit them and really bring that back to the forefront to stay true for 2025.
Just to kind of give a little personal touch on this, what are some things that you've been doing to kind of stay on track for your 2025 goals this year?
Yeah, so I'm not the greatest when it comes to being consistent throughout the year, and that's definitely something that I've realized more this year than any other year. I did some training back in December. We went down to Florida for a conference, and there was a lot of speakers that really hit home for me. That really your self worth and driving in, making sure that you're true to yourself and you do what you say you're going to do. You're That's been the biggest takeaway for me is really reminding myself. So I've been getting up, every morning at 5 o'clock, and I go work out, and then I hit a sauna, and I do that every day. And if I don't, then I want to make sure that it feels wrong or off for me. And so I enforce that in a calendar. And I also have, what I call accountability partners. So making sure that people are holding you accountable, no different than us staying true to
Yep.
doing this every single week. You want to surround yourself with people that will hold you accountable, not necessarily feel good, but make sure that they're going to call you out. If I don't show up in the gym, I want someone to call me out on that, right?
Yeah.
We don't
You
do this
slacker and
podcast
yeah.
exactly like someone that might feel uncomfortable, and that person saying it to you is uncomfortable. But if you truly want the best for someone, then you aren't afraid to call them out and say that they need to be better or do better. So really, who you're surrounding yourself with, and that is a huge takeaway that I've really tried to dive in just to make sure I'm consistent across 2025. I usually get in the mode, and then it's easy to fall off and get sidetracked, and then you kind of forget about it
Yep.
until the next year. So
Get locked in, and before you know it, it's Friday, and you didn't do anything all week long like you were thinking you were gonna do.
Yep, exactly. So that's one of my big ones for 2025. So just wrap things up here a little bit. Today we talked a lot of the sales, nurturing the leads, cold leads, door knocking, and then nurturing even the warm leads that come in. Is there anything else that you wanted to kind of end us on as far as sales or what to really hammer home?
Just don't be afraid to go out there and make a difference. Remember to add value to everything you do. Don't go out just with your hand out, not expecting to give anything as well. So that's my big takeaway. Adding value, push yourself out of that comfort zone, and just like the sign in the back here says, how bad do you want it?
Yep.
The guy next to you might want it more than you, so you got to prove to everybody that you want it just as bad, if not more. So
no, that's awesome. I appreciate it. Well, with that, we're going to wrap up episode number 5 here today. So thanks everyone for tuning in on us again, and we'll continue to do this weekly, and looking forward to bringing in some guests or some more guests here that have some big insights for us. So thanks everyone for watching again. Make sure to follow us on all the socials.
And today's a good day for a good day. We'll see you guys next week.
Yep, thanks.